Hello guys, welcome to my channel, Boost My Score. Today, not just today, this podcast was developed in order to like you students help effectively prepare to the tests, SAT, UNT, HSK and others. So, in order to give objective opinions like true tips and so on, I have invited a lot of people from other fields, experts, and today I have invited Ergin Mohammed, who has scored 140 on the UNT. And today we're gonna discuss him about how to effectively prepare to this kind of tests. So can you introduce yourself, Mohammed?
My name is Mohammed, as Baldur said. I study in National School of Physics and Mathematics, and I have scored in UNT max score 140. So let's start our talk about preparing to exams.
So first of all, let's introduce what is SAT, what is UNT. We have chosen SAT in order to compare this kind of tests because all of them national and international exams in order to show the university your ability. So first of all, let's talk about SAT. This is a scholastic assessment test. So this SAT was developed in order to estimate the capability, logic, and analyzing skills of the students in order to estimate their capability, also withstand the university academics rigor. And with SAT score, you almost can apply to any university in the world, not just USA, but also in Kazakhstan you can also do it, in Hong Kong, and of course in almost every country you can send your SAT score, showing the evidence that you know your stuff. And what about UNT?
For UNT, it is United National Test. It's Kazakhstan National University exam. So after passing UNT, students can receive a lot of state grant for any Kazakh university, for example, Narhos, Kazgu, and others. In addition, it's also suitable for applying to abroad universities with UNT, for example, Hong Kong, or offer by UNT scores. So if you want any grants, any scholarship, you can also apply with UNT.
So as you can see, guys, UNT, our national exam, is also approved in other countries, and it's really cool for our students because compared to SAT, UNT is held on your native language, Russian or Kazakh, and it is much more convenient because in the SAT, let's introduce what contains SAT. The structure of the SAT contains two parts: reading and writing. Reading and writing and the math. Reading and writing compiles into the English part. So as you can see, all this exam is held on the English, and not just conventional English, what I'm saying right now, but 18th century English, using words like see and so on, which is not ubiquitous nowadays. Yeah, and this is one advantage of the UNT, because if all this test is approved in the another countries, it's very cool. And if I have to choose between UNT and SAT, I will choose UNT if I'm gonna apply to the Hong Kong, for example. And let's talk about the structures. So SAT, as I mentioned before, contains English and math, and each of the sections is held 1 hour. 1 hour English, 1 hour math, and it is estimated from 0 to 1600. 1600 is max. For each section, 800 is max. And what about the UNT?
For UNT, you have 4 hour time. It's also compared from 5 subjects. 3 of them are required. There are history of Kazakhstan, reading literacy, and math literacy. The 2 of these subjects is elective. You can choose math, physics, math, informatics for technical majors. For the linguistics, you can choose world history and geography. There is no time section for every subject. You can start from any subject you want and spend any time you think that it's necessary to spend.
So you mean there's no structure, you can easily you have liberty, yeah? You choose first one math and then history.
Yes, you can first of all do easy ones. In my opinion, it's required subject. For example, history of Kazakhstan, math literacy, and reading literacy. And after this, you can should focus on elective subject because there is 50 questions for both of them. About required subjects, there is only 20 for history of Kazakhstan and 10 for both literacies.
Mhm. So also I want to mention about not just structure differences but logic of the tests. So for example, for the SAT, this test was, as I mentioned before, was founded in order to estimate the capability of students' logic and analysis of the text. Whereas in UNT, like it estimates like your general knowledge of the math and also about your another elective subject, and also I think about like a lot of the stuff is done by memorizing, yeah, like
Yes.
dates and history and so on.
For example, history of Kazakhstan is all about memorizing. So, but you always should have use your logic because they can paraphrase questions, and if you know, for example, some dates, they can mix with other questions and make a new. So, memorizing and logic is the main stuff that you need.
So I think like for math section of the SAT, you also have to have knowledge, and for the English part, if you understand the text, it doesn't matter. You understand the text or you know the term or not. For example, in the SAT, there can be like tests about like K218b. It's like a new planet, like which resembles to the Earth. Before I have never like exposed myself to this kind of information, but the SAT, not just like estimating your knowledge of this kind of stuff, but analyzing the text. So yeah, don't just freak out about like SAT if you don't know anything about like US politics or so kind of world news. And now let's talk about like I think personal experiences. Yeah. So first of all, I have scored like 1600 on the SAT, and I have started preparing to this test or since September, I think. Yeah, September. I remember like at that time we have been preparing with Mohammed to the SAT also, and my first official score was 1300, and since that time I have improved my score plus 300. And later I'm gonna talk about what kind of techniques, what kind of tips, what kind of materials I used. So can you talk about your preparation duration of the time to the UNT?
To begin with, I have started my journey of preparing to UNT in April of this year. So my journey started with sample tests that I have done. I have first of all scored 120, and I understand my weaknesses and strengths. For example, I scored max in both literacies, but my history of Kazakhstan was weak comparatively to other members. So I started to learning and memorizing more about history, and after this I also do math and informatics. My schedule for the week was 3 days for elective subjects, 2 days for required subjects, and 1 day for doing tests and reviewing it. And 1 day is relaxing day, so to not burn out. That's all.
So let's talk about my schedule about like preparing to the. So let's talk about my preparation schedule to the SAT. And first of all, it depends on your knowledge. If you have like good English, good vocabulary, and good math, you don't need to like prepare from zero. This was like case for me on math. I have already knowledge, like really good knowledge about the math, and also like my vocabulary wasn't so bad. But my problem was like analyzing of the text and like grammar. Yeah, I have spent like 4 hours or 3 hours to the English part of verbal part of the SAT, and I have been preparing for 3 hours, and if I had some time, I learned some new words. But for math, I just did like general practice tests, and another kind of training for the math I didn't do.
So my tips for UNT is first of all not waiting for a perfect moment to start. You should start from now. First of all, you can take sample tests, diagnostic tests, and understand your weakness, strengths. So I have did it for everyone that do not have base for math and other elective subjects. You should first of all learn them, and after it practice and make a general review before the tests. But in my case, I had known base for both math and informatics, so I just did a general review and making some tasks similar to UNT questions. For about literacy and writing, it's like more logic, because we all have done it in our junior school, so it's not hard. About history, you should just learn it and just learning, memorizing, and making more practice for history to recalling it in your memory. So that's my tips for UNT preparing.
Also, I appreciate mentioning also like analyzing your mistakes and like doing practice tests. And this kind of like strategy is also can be applied to the SAT, because the format of the SAT is well known. If you just practice, like for example, past papers and so on, your brain can be like trained to the format of the SAT, and at the official SAT, as official test, you will not have some stress and so on, because the format of this is already known to you. Also, I would mention about time management, and this technique is also really important, not just in preparing to the SAT, but at the time of the SAT, during the test. So, as I mentioned before, there is 32 minutes for each part of the English. English part contains two parts, each of them to 32 minutes, and you need to 32 minutes, and you need to like managely like split this time into different types of questions. So, for example, reading, as I mentioned before, this is new information, you haven't been exposure to it, and you should like spend more time on it. Whereas on the transition questions, on the punctuation questions, you can just learn how to use them and just apply directly. And yeah, also time management, and also I would say, like as Simhan mentioned, you should first of all pinpoint your weaknesses, because it's really important, because without understanding your initial level, you will not like improve any score. And also you need to have like real goal, real purpose, exact score what you want, because I have seen a lot of students doing without like intention to gain, for example, 1500 or 1550. They just don't like, they don't have even notion what to score and so on. And because of it, you need to have first of all purpose, and then like manage your time effectively, and don't just freak out about tests, because any test is like just a test, and this score don't like reveal your future capabilities. But first of all, I know a lot of people who had, for example, bad scores on the tests during the school, but like had very successful life in the future. So yeah, it just shows your capabilities in university, and it's not so hard, and don't worth your stressing. But if you wanna like get into like really good university, I think it is really important. So what will you add here?
Finally, as Balu said, mental state before the test is also important. So do not overthink, do not stress before test, because not only knowledge but emotional state of your taking exam is also important. So if you do not stress, do not overthink, you will perform much better. So it's this final tip for our dialogue. So what do it?
In the description, we're gonna like show links to the Telegram chat where you can practice like real past papers for the SAT, for the UNT, and also I'm gonna give like Quizlet and Anki's platforms where you can see or learn flashcards what I have already like developed for the SAT and the UNT. Also, you can like join the channels Mohamed's, where he will share his like life and how he prepared more conclusively, and you can ask him any question. So if there is no question, I think we like ended. We should.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Yep.